witch is so unique.
The gift of witchcraft.
I was able to see, hear, and communicate with spirits.
A very personal relationship between a person and spirit.
Carnal lust and fun things like that.
Working with different energies and spirits and communicating.
Creating magic.
Powerful ritual and powerful spell.
She's actually sticking me in the cold.
The role of the witch is to make change.
Blessed be, y'all. Blessed be. People ask me like, okay, I'm a witch and I don't know what to do.
20 years ago, 3 young friends realized they were witches.
They scattered to different parts of the world following magic and spirit.
Now, they're back in their hometown to share what they've learned.
Welcome to That Witch Life Podcast, your home for living as a witch in today's world.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us for an episode of That Witch Life Podcast. We are actually at Columbia Willamette Pagan Pride Day in Portland, Oregon at Oaks Amusement Park. I am going to be your host. My name is Kanani, and I am joined by...
I'm Hillary.
I'm Courtney. I'm not hosting. She's hosting.
And this is
Remy.
Hi, I'm Remy.
Yay! So excited. This is my 12th Pagan Pride here, I believe.
11th.
Yeah, because I think my daughter was an
11
infant
millionth,
the first year that I came and attended this. So I am super excited to be here this year. Last year I got to come for my first time as an attendee, and then this year we actually have That Witch Life Podcast has a booth here. So we're super excited about that. I'm just really excited. There's tons of vendors and workshops and all kinds of fun activities that have been happening all day.
Oh, it's a financial danger zone for me. Like,
Oh yeah,
everywhere
you
I
keep
walk,
bringing
I'm
bags back to the
I'm
booth.
like, I'm not going to spend any money. I'm like, I'm just going to buy everything, actually.
You are a triple Earth sign who also has ADHD.
Yeah, disaster.
That's just
And
it.
so many shiny things.
It's
Exactly.
like shiny, beautiful, amazing things.
So many people to hex and bless, but
Right?
also hex.
Right?
Not here, of course.
I just keep walking
Okay.
around seeing people I know taking selfies with people because my tits look fire today. So
Your
I'm
tits
like...
do look
They do.
fire.
They really
just-
do.
They really do. Some days are good days. Some days are,
Courtney just rolled her eyes.
And she brought the tits today.
I brought the tits today. Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to step up. It's going to be me.
My astrology said that today I would have to be all about business because people around me weren't.
Shocking.
And I was like, but Kanani's always really on it at these things. But then she's like, look at my boobs. And that was it.
You work with your
I was
greatest
trying to
asset.
test the mic, and she's like, well, who cares? Because my boobs look
Because
like... I'm
my
like,
boobs look good.
It's an audio platform.
It doesn't matter. They know. They know.
Let
Exactly.
the record reflect.
Exactly. The audience is like, no, we know. We know. We were there.
Because that's the same dress you wore when we brought you to meet the pizza guy, right?
Yeah.
This is Pizza Guy dress. This is the
Pizza
Tits
Guy.
Fire pizza dress. Now, however, I'm wearing my awesome bondage bra with this one, though. I wasn't wearing the bondage bra.
The detail,
when-
I think.
Well, that was the
helps.
detail
problem.
helps.
You should have been wearing the bondage.
I'm
detail,
sorry.
you know.
We'd
All
be
about
married
detail,
already
right?
if I'd worn the bondage bra.
I know.
You gotta be careful with these
You're
things.
ruining the
That was a good
relationship.
catch.
Hi, we're a Witchcraft Podcast. It's a podcast of living as a witch in today's world. Hey.
Blessed be.
Remy's like, wow, I
Remy's
suddenly
like,
feel my boobs
I've
calling
made a
me.
mistake coming back on this shit show.
I think,
Where's my corn dog?
right?
You're like,
right?
I was told.
I'm getting an elephant ear later, so I will join you in the elephant ear line, and we can
Oh,
partake
God, corn
of.
dogs.
We
Oh,
can
I
partake
actually
of
brought
elephant ears.
pizza from the pizza guy who I saw last night.
You legitimately brought Pizza Guy pizza?
Yeah, I can't eat anything else here.
That's
I got
true.
celeak.
That's true.
Everything here is made with celiac.
It's true.
For
And I
those
cannot
of
eat
you,
anything.
I actually asked for extra celiac when I got my lunch today. I said, could I have extra gluten? And I need Courtney celiac. Could I get those
Sprinkle
two things?
celiac on top.
That would be
So
fantastic.
that Courtney has a reaction just by being at the same park as me.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's about right.
yeah.
I'll send her foods that I get
Well,
excited
it's all
about.
battered and deep fried.
I know. I sent her
As
foods I
it
get
should
excited
be.
about, and she's like, "Do you know what a hoe you are right now? Because I can't eat anything that you keep sending me, and it all looks good."
That's
And I'm
actually
like,
not what happens. What happens is I send her things that I want to eat.
And you do
and
that
tell
too.
her to eat them.
You do that too, and I do because I'm a good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deep fried pickles. I'm here for you.
For those of you that are like, what the fuck are you talking about, Pizza Guy? There is a pizza place in just outside of Portland that is like a very good pizza. And we talk about it all the time because we are obsessed with the pizza.
And neither one of you will do me the courtesy of marrying the pizza. Are you single?
No, I'm married. My husband's
Remy's
here.
like, I'm married.
Courtney's like,
Sure.
wait.
She's like,
are you
wait, oh, wait,
single? I was
how's my
like,
deal?
don't loop me into this chaos. She's like, no.
I don't understand why they won't just marry him. I need some gluten-free pizza.
I'm sorry. I can only do what I can do.
I know, right?
You won't even try.
That's true. I
You
wouldn't
didn't even try.
That's true.
That's true. That sounds like me. That sounds
And
right.
he's your type in every way.
You're not wrong.
He's dark-haired, brooding, deep-seated sadness, beard, tattoos, cushion, and
You're
makes
not.
pizza.
You're not wrong.
Everything.
All the things. You're not wrong. No, I'm super excited to be here. I love, I don't usually I was kind of helping to put the event together, so I've never really attended that many workshops. But my favorite thing, although the workshops are great, is always the vendors.
Yeah.
Oh, the vendors are amazing.
I love going to the different vendor booths, getting to meet people, get to talk to people. And I feel like now since this has gotten, it feels like when it was a little bit smaller, it was kind of the same vendors that I would see at other places. And I feel like now because it's gotten so big, there are the same vendors, which is exciting because it's like seeing your friends. And it's almost like a reunion every year, but there's always new people.
So many more new people.
New people, which is really cool and really exciting to get to see new things, do creative things. And just some of the stuff that people can create is just fucking awesome to me. The art and like the masks and homemade drums and just fabrics, and it's
So much
incredible.
creativity.
so much creativity.
All the things that I can't do.
And really good mead. Like really
And
good.
really good meat.
The spirits have me on a prohibition against booze for a while. They said until further notice.
Well, I
That
drank
was
your
a month
booze
ago.
last night.
Well,
Yeah, you did.
I am.
But that's for you,
still
not for
quite
the spirits,
hungover,
though.
But
That's right.
that's right.
Spirits are like, I mean, give it to me.
I mean, right. Pour
Yeah.
me a
Spirits
glass,
like,
but
I
you don't
need
get to
it, but
have
you
it.
don't get to have it.
I have.
They're probably like, you need to give me more, and once you feed me more, then you can have some.
Well, not even that, but it was interesting because I think I can tell a story. But I was like, I can tell a story, but I can't tell. I know why they want to do it. I can't tell the why of it. So I'm having a dream. There's a story, and all of a sudden, this old Slavic woman cuts into the dream, as like it was like that feeling of watching a play, and then the stage manager walks in and stops everything, like that kind of interruption of two different worlds colliding. And she walks in, she hands me a note, and it says, "Cut out the booze until further notice." And I went, "But I don't drink that much." She's like, and walks off.
She's like,
Not what I
don't know.
said.
You're right, right?
Not
I didn't
what
ask.
Not what I said.
I didn't ask, bitch.
I was at Kanani's son's birthday party. Kanani doesn't know about this prohibition, and she's like, "Oh, you have ice cream left? I want you to try this port." And she pours port all over the ice
I
cream.
did.
And then I was like, "Well, it's eating it. It's not drinking it."
Fair.
Ooh,
So,
semantics.
semantics. So I eat some. That night, I had a dream that a whole legion of Slavic people walk up to me and they go,
That is so
That's
funny. They're
hilarious.
like, you did
They're
not
like,
hear
no.
us clearly enough.
Right.
"No."
So
No, so that's been the thing. But I did buy Kanani a really sweet rosé for watching my screaming child while I went to get my hair
Yes.
done. But it's like hard to, when they ask me what kind of wine I'm looking for, they never know what to say. When I'm like, what rosé goes best if you drink it through a red vine? 'Cause
Yes.
that's how she's gonna do it.
Yes.
Yeah. Chilled
Yes.
through a red vine over ice. Yeah.
I'm really picky about my wine because of the first thing I want to know is what does the label look like, and is it cute? And if it's cute, then I buy it. And this is how I discern
This
my
is how
wine.
you decide.
This is how I decide: is which has the cutest or most ridiculous label.
how often does that work in your favor?
You know what? I
Like,
I am so
like-
not picky that I don't even care. I
Oh,
like.
okay.
I'll drink. I'll just be
That's
like,
true. I've watched you drink wine through a red vine.
This is what I'm saying.
So-
I don't exactly have the
Classy.
Did you
Yes.
know, have you guys ever heard of Chateau Saint Michel? No, that's not, Chateau Saint Diana.
Did you go to school with her?
Or what?
Did you go to school with her?
No, it's Chateau Saint Diana.
No.
You ever heard of that?
the wine.
She just makes up words and acts like we're supposed to know.
No, it's actually
I've been there.
it's
not
actually
real.
a wine that you can get at 7-Eleven, but it's not actually a wine. It's a wine product.
Night train.
Now,
Does it come
is
in a box?
magical. No, not quite.
Comes in a box.
No, it comes in a bottle. It's called wine product, and it has a magical property. If you drink it,
You don't remember the next day.
and then you have 3
Exactly.
sips of Budweiser,
Oh, barf.
the Budweiser will taste like champagne.
What?
That is how foul this stuff is. That if you want your Budweiser to taste like champagne, you have to drink the Chateau
Drink
Saint
something that's
Michelle-
just
it's
so-
Chateau Saint Diana first.
It's like that wine that
It's
turns
so bad.
Budweiser into
The
champagne.
Sounds like a really bad headache.
Yeah.
It's so booty funk foul that
That's
it makes
exactly-
Budweiser taste good.
It's magical. It is magical. So if you
That's a spell.
I'll take your
But then
word
by
on
the
it.
Right? No.
By the fourth sip of Budweiser, the spell will be broken, and you have to return to Chateau Saint Diana.
Oh,
wine
the booty
product
funk.
and do it again, and just
No,
keep the
sounds a
cycle
mixed
going.
cocktail.
Because magic comes in circles.
No,
No, I don't
No.
think so.
I don't think so either.
No, I think no. I'm
I
gonna
said what I
pass.
said, and no one's listening.
No.
Hard pass.
No.
That's a hard pass. That's a hard pass. I'm just going to say no.
So what?
But which
type-
is in the park today?
I know. Right?
I know. I was actually really excited because technically the park opens at noon, but this event starts at 10. And so it's really cool when you see the people that are coming in from like 10 to noon because they're
all-
coming for this.
Yeah.
And so it's exciting.
Specifically for this.
Yeah, so it's exciting when you see that. And then what I think is kind of what I also like is at noon when the park opens, you always get the people that are here for the park kind of meander through. And you can always tell them because they're very like apprehensive, like what is that? Like this
They
is
look
cool.
a little shell-shocked
This is cool. Yeah,
often.
but then they're like, "What is that?" Like, "Whoa, that looks spooky."
Big signs
where
says
am
Pagan
I?
Pride.
Yeah.
You know, they're never quite sure.
They're gonna come
Exactly.
get their tarot read and walk away as a believer and go home and be like, I didn't think that stuff was real.
Exactly.
If you follow us on Instagram, we'll definitely post pictures, and on Facebook as well of the activities, festivities, and everything going on here.
yes,
It's a fun day. It's a
It
fun
is
day.
a fun day.
Absolutely.
What has anyone been doing anything magically interesting recently? I've been spring cleaning a little late.
A smidge.
I
in the
traveled
fall.
like I
Spring
traveled
cleaning
like
in the fall.
all spring and summer, and then I was like came home and I was like, shit, it's bad. Like outside of the fact that my dogs shed like a whole dog every day, it's like also like I was like, why do I have this shit? Like I need to get rid of stuff, but then I like get busy and then I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I've been really trying to focus on. I got called out very hard in a tarot reading. Like I'm sensing that you need to do a spring cleaning. I was like, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, I've been at my house like going for a while, so it's good to like.
But magical cleanings in the fall make a lot of sense because if you think about it, we've got Samhain coming up,
Yeah.
the ancestors are
Well,
coming in, and the
that's
family comes over.
This is how we
That was
justify
part-
our poor life choices.
Well,
just
and
in
it's
case
like-
anyone was
That's how you
unsure.
do it.
Part of the entire call out was like also being hospitable. I won't go into details, but also being hospitable towards ancestors, making
Yeah.
them feel welcome. And it wasn't necessarily in relation to the spring cleaning, but it all kind of tied into
Ties in?
Yeah.
general. So I was like, you know what? And I think it's good because we do that like kind of purge in the spring because you know we're not out. Once we're in summer, we're out and about and doing things and usually amassing things. But I think that it's also like one of those things where we want to be able to. You know, if you're gonna have your family over, you're gonna want to make them feel welcome. You're
Yes.
gonna make like you know because
Yes.
if you're, I don't know about you, but if like I have a parent come over or an aunt and
That's
uncle
actually-
or whatever, right?
My mom is visiting right now.
Right.
And so my husband and I just bought a house in March, and so we're still sort of like, thank
Congratulations.
you.
But then you're like, Mom's coming.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it was like, okay, no, we actually have to get the house together
Yeah.
because mom's coming.
Yes.
Yeah,
so it
Dad-
needs to be ready for her.
Dad is coming in early October along with some artistic collaborators, and I was like, no, I can't have that. Like this, I gotta get this shit together. So I've been doing that, but you know, I've really been trying to like make it mindful in the way that I'm doing it because so that like I'm taking time with each space and also just really like giving the opportunity to be like, I mean, I have altars all over my house. It's been a good opportunity to be like, shit, I don't even remember what's on some of these altars. Like it's time to clear some of that stuff off. It's really, if you're like me and you have ADHD and you also are a Taurus and like to buy a ton of things and, you know, and like you like shiny, pretty aesthetics, like
My husband.
it's, yeah, right, exactly. So it's gonna, like, you know, sometimes those altars get a little cluttered, but that cannot be great either. So I've been like,
Yeah?
kind of going, okay, what have I used, do I really not need here? And then going through kind of each room and being like, what kind of energy do I want in this individual space? Like, obviously I want my office to feel a certain way. I want my bedroom to feel a
Right,
certain way.
yeah.
I want my kitchen to feel a certain
Intentional.
way. I made a really beautiful outdoor space because I was feeling very like kind of stagnant and kind of being like, oh, I don't want to leave the house, da da da. So I was like, I need to get outside, and like, so I took all this time to make this really magical outdoor area for me to be with the dogs and enjoy the sun. And so it's like, it's been nice to kind of take that time to go through the house and do that.
Yeah,
It feels
I've been
good.
doing the same
Yeah.
thing, and it's been wonderful to be able to set the spaces and set the intentions and what are we putting on the walls and like
Yeah.
what's the vibration we're bringing into this place.
Yeah.
And then setting the altars and
Yeah.
all of that. It's been a fun time. I've been doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's nice, and it also I feel like makes that type of. There's a little train going by. Also, it makes that that type of kind of mundane activity feel less mundane because
Yeah.
you're making it part of your practice, right?
Right.
So it's an intentional act rather than just like, oh god, I gotta do the fucking
right.
dishes again.
Yeah.
You
The
know,
path,
like, I gotta
right?
sweep,
all the
you know.
all the little things with mirth and reverence,
Right, exactly.
Well,
It makes everything
I finally
easier.
got an altar tabletop for a cabinet that I've had. That the cabinet has been full of my magical supplies for as long as I've had the cabinet, but I haven't had a top. And so I haven't been able to like put the proper like altar together on top of it. And I've been working with Persephone now for 2 years, probably about 2 years. I don't know.
I mean, we're all like, yep, you have.
she, you know,
When Kanani casually said, I would like to better know the shadow, so I'm going to work with Persephone. And after I hid under my bed for 2 weeks because I didn't want
Yes.
to deal with the aftermath,
yes.
how's that been going for you, Kanani?
Actually, fantastically. Ironically, fantastically, although she did just kind of come in and just take a quick moment to just kind of broom things out of my life and upend.
And not gently, I'm sure.
Not gently. No,
Well, thanks,
not gently.
Kanani.
I am no longer married, which ended up being a wonderful thing, but that was definitely not something I necessarily foresaw in that moment. And then what was funny was it was last spring. I was doing a spell because as you know, life kinds of unfolds. You, as an idiot, think that you know what's happening and you don't. And so I really thought that I kind of knew what was coming, and I was doing this spell. And as I'm doing this spell, I hear her and she says to me, because I've had her on my altar now ever since I kind of started saying that, and I'm doing my spell and I'm right in front of her, and all of a sudden I hear this voice and it's like, you know, it's not that one, right? That's not that. It's not that one. And I was like, all right, well, can we solve one mess before we jump into another? And of course now everything is like come into line exactly with what I had been told, not what I had projected. And so now she has a very proper place. Remy's like, yep, got it. Now she has a very proper altar space where she belongs. I'm like, okay, I got it.
We should go through the reasons, because when we were doing the episode on Persephone, and I said, you know, Kanani, you share a lot of similarities. Probably ought to touch on those. You know, super tight with your mom.
Yep.
Your mom would literally set the world to ice.
Yes.
If she
thought I was in any semblance of danger, everyone else in the world
Yeah.
would be in imminent danger
Yeah.
until she was convinced that I was no
That you
longer
were
in
safe,
danger.
yeah.
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 That sounds right.
You married your polar opposite twice now.
Yes.
You appreciate the dark and spooky as well as the cute and fluffy.
Yes.
Yep. And you went to hell and became the queen.
This is all true.
All right, so those
Corey,
are.
I love
I mean,
her.
This is all true.
I love her.
It's all true. Yeah.
That works.
It just, I felt really called when I first started in my practice. I was really called to Bridget. And I feel like that made a lot of sense to me at the time. And she just really resonated with me and and worked with me in a way that was really, at least for me, I feel like she was more gentle. Whereas I think Persephone is very much like how I am now, in that it's just, there's nothing fucking gentle about it. We're just blunt and here to get shit done. So this is what's happening. Do whatever you need to do to get ready for this thing that's about to happen, because this is what's happening now. And so I feel like now she just, you know, like I said, she just resonates with me, and she just is like, nope. This is what you, like, I get it. This is what you thought, but you're wrong. And so this is where we're going with this. And I'm just like, okay.
And the last piece of Kanani Persephone link is that Persephone's type's definitely the dark and broody guy with the
100%.
deep-seated sadness.
Persephone would 100% be down for tattoos. That's all I'm saying.
And she'd be down
That's
for the pizza
true.
guy. I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
Obviously, we turn back to the
Or
pizza
sad,
guy.
right? Always.
We
no matter
can't
what we
escape
do.
the fucking pizza guy.
I tried.
You shouldn't try.
I tried.
Well, you should not try.
I know, but I've tried.
Courtney's doing magic in the background, trying to get us to marry the fucking pizza guy.
Right?
And I'm just like,
just
I
trying
don't
to be a
even
good
like-
I know. You can feel it too, can't you? When
I
you're
don't even
sleeping,
like
you can
pizza.
feel all of a sudden like you get this weird itchy feeling, and you're like, "Stop! I
Pizza-
don't want the pizza guy. Like, stop! I don't
And
know."
When did you stop
It's
wanting the
good.
pizza guy? You wanted to marry.
I want his pizza. Like, I'm not
I mean,
gonna lie,
the pizza's
it's damn
very good, but
Is that what
I
we're
really,
calling it this day?
right?
Yeah,
I know.
mean the pizza is very
Sausage.
good for pizza, but I'm not like
I
pizza's
have
probably
some
my
waiting
least
in my
favorite
lunch
food.
bag, and I'm so hungry.
Poor Courtney taught a class on Hecate right
Did you
before
guys
this.
hear that? So you know the Minoan snake goddess? We've all sort of seen that image
Yes.
of the Minoan.
Yeah.
Have you heard that we know who she is now?
I have not heard
They
this.
recently were able to decipher linear A, and she's Depoina, Depoina.
Wow.
That's incredible.
And we believe that she's like a Persephone,
Well,
Well, the
all I'm
underworld
saying.
the
connection.
underworld,
I love
right? That
this.
she's that green force
I
of
love
rebirth,
this.
right?
And
So
the
death,
drum
rebirth.
says-
the drum's like yes,
bringing,
yes, yes, yes.
just
I'm
bringing that
so
back around.
here for this.
Well, the concept of having the snakes, it's possible that that was an underworld thing, but it also may have been a home protection deity. So there's a
Yes.
But there's also rebirth.
There's
the
also
snake
rebirth.
is the rebirth.
Yes.
snake is the rebirth. I think it was one of the Egyptian goddesses has a cat on her head and she holds snakes.
Yes.
And they think that she was home protection because snakes were vermin.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
the cats would keep the snakes away. So yes, but a lot of these gods and goddesses have multiple things. So there is
Oh, yeah.
the rebirth, the regeneration, the
Yes.
the underworld coming back, and then maybe also home protection on top of that. Keep the babies away from the snakes, that kind of thing.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, no, Persephone knows what she's doing, and I do not argue, even when I'm like, really? Because I really thought I knew it was going to happen. She's like, no. And it was, I don't always have those moments when I'm doing magic where I'm literally like being talked to as it's happening. And so it's always funny for me when that happens, because sometimes, you realize later that it's manifested in front of you and you're like, oh shit, it's happened. But when you're actually like hearing where you're like, you do this spell, honey. You do the spell. You do what you need to do to get your closure. But honey, this isn't what's coming. This isn't what's happening for you. But you do you. You do what you need. I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm going to do. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. Thank you. And I understand that this is all for naught while I'm
It's such a
doing
key
it.
point, though, to get out of the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
Oh, yeah.
as humans think we know
Yes.
the only way that X, Y, and Z can occur is if this, and this
Right.
happens, right?
Right.
And that's the
Right.
only way our little brains can think that that's going to manifest is if this, and this
Yes.
in this line
Yes.
happens. And it usually doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So if we were to get out of our own way, we
Yes.
wouldn't stress so bad
Yes,
about
right.
it, and we would allow it because spirit, gods, whatever, they know better than
They know
we do.
better.
They know
Yeah,
so
they
much
know
better.
so much
They know-
more
they
than
know-
us.
And just
yeah.
because it doesn't look like it's not happening doesn't mean it's not
Exactly.
happening,
Exactly.
right? It's working its
Well,
way
because-
out the way it's meant to.
Right, because I think we often think, oh, but I did this thing or I tried this thing, and we had a very specific image of what it would
Yes.
look like on the
Yes.
other side.
Sure.
Oh, I knew when
and
I was
so-
doing the spell what I was doing. This
Right.
is what's happening. This is what's coming. I'm doing this spell because I'm helping to manifest this. I'm helping to give myself some clarity. And the whole time I'm just being told, no. You knew
Well, and-
it's this other thing. You know it's the other thing, right? Because I've tried to tell you it's this other thing. This is what's happening. And I'm just like, but this was the thing that was going to happen that I was ready for and I knew was coming. And they're like, no.
Well,
No.
and it's like, I think that if we envision success as being the spell or whatever we're trying to manifest is exactly the way we think it is, then we're going to fail every time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? Because sometimes
You won't
we-
recognize it when it's there because it doesn't look the way you expect
Exactly.
to see it.
And it's like you have to be willing to. It's why I think it's important to be clear on what you want, but not tunnel visioned.
Yeah.
That is a great way to put
Yeah.
it. And it's like
clear,
keep-
but not all the details because you
Right,
don't
because
know.
if you're like-
You don't
if
know
you have
them.
this tunnel vision, right? Then you're going to be like, this didn't happen. Well, fuck, nothing happens, nothing works.
And then
right?
you're throwing
And then-
now you're throwing a negative wrench into
Right.
the energy flow.
Now you're not going to get shit.
That's right.
So it's like you have to be willing to say, I'm very, because you need to be clear. If you're unclear, that's never good either.
Right.
You might not get what you want, or you might get something you don't want. But I think having that clarity and specifics without but with having flexibility enough to understand that this might pan out in a way that you're not expecting.
Exactly.
And also being aware of, like, especially if you're doing work that's like it is heavily shifting things, make sure you're ready for whatever that's going to look like. Don't do that in the middle of some chaos.
When you're sitting on your bed recording a podcast saying, I think I want to work with Persephone.
Right.
And then you should have known that when...
And Courtney calls me as soon as we're recording going, do you know what you did? Because I know what you did.
No, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I just stayed silent. I just like, la, 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 la. Then when you called me crying, like 2 months later, like, everything's the way it should have went. Okay, I need to point something out.
So you're right.
Do you remember that time?
Honey.
Do you remember that time?
Remember that time?
One quick time out.
Okay, Kachina Aurora fans, get ready because our friend Dawn Hunt has now launched a new, drumroll, tomato sauce. Magical marinara, roasted garlic, pomodoro. Holy shit.
We got to try it. I made this incredible pasta dish for my husband. I throw some beef sausage in there, just regular old stuff from the grocery store, topped it with this sauce, threw it on some gluten-free pasta because I have the celiac. My husband did not stop talking about this. I'm serious. The rest of the night was, oh my God, the sauce is so good. Oh my God, I am under Dawn's spell. Oh my God, I can't stop. I mean, the flavors sit with you. And like you just feel comforted and you feel loved and you really feel the magic that she puts in there and the high quality ingredients. I am actually serving that pasta dish with that sauce to my Italian mother-in-law when she's here next week. Okay, that is saying something, and I'm going to do it.
I mean, it's so true. I finally got my hands on a jar and it was the best. Like, I was like, wow, I don't even need to touch anything. This is perfection in a jar. I mean, honestly, I love everything Dawn does, but I also really lean into the Kachina Aurora infused olive oils, which are not only incredible to put on food, but they are also each crafted with magical intention. So you've got a really good, ready to go, delicious food, as well as your spell work.
If you haven't tried her coffee yet, you need to get on it because she has different ones for each of the seasons. Not only that, but she also has different brews for the dark moon, half moon, and full moon. These are whole bean coffees with different spectrums of darkness and strength. They're almost as dark as my soul. They are so, so good.
To bring your own practice into the kitchen, go to KachinaAurora.com ASAP and use code WitchLife to get 10% off. That's code WitchLife for 10% off.
Do it, witches, and thank you to Kachina Aurora for being an episode sponsor.
We have gotten so hooked on wearing our Blessed Be jewelry. Their pieces are the kinds that become your wear everyday signature items. They are, because they're so delicate and discreet, they are broom closet friendly and they give your witchy jewelry, more of an upgrade, a special touch. It is very tasteful witchy jewelry that is perfect for your everyday wear. You can wear it in the conference room. No one's going to know, but you're going to know because you are magical. And it's made by witches, and Blessed Be Magic has got something for every witch, regardless of their status of being in or out of the closet.
I am freaking out and love their new anklet collections and sets that they have right now. They have a triple goddess anklet, a pentacle anklet, and they have a Hecate's wheel bracelet and anklet set, which, yes, I have in fact purchased. I absolutely love anklets in the summertime. There's just something about having pretty jewelry on your ankles when you're wearing your summer dresses and in short season. It's just spectacular.
Yes, that new collection is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, frankly, everything Blessed Be Magic does is gorgeous. I have a number of their pieces and I wear them regularly and always get complimented. They have over 700 plus 5-star reviews. Like 700, that's insane. And they ship worldwide.
Yes, it is perfect. It's beautiful and magical. I wear my Hecate ring everywhere. You can step into your power with Blessed Be Magic's minimalist jewelry for powerful witchy women.
Head over to blessedbemagic.com, that's magic with a K, and use WitchLife15, that's WitchLife15, and save 15% on all full price talisman jewelry. Trust me, with as much shopping as you're about to do on the site, you're going to want that 15% off.
Thank you to Blessed Be Magic for being an episode sponsor. literally everyone knows this podcast runs on blood, sweat, tears, and jasmine pearl tea. But now get ready, witches. Our beautiful friends at the Jasmine Pearl Tea Company have some new blends for this summer.
Oh my God. Seriously, everyone knows how obsessed I am with tea, and I am extra obsessed with Jasmine Pearl. Fortune's Fool, which is a pu'er tea for those looking for a more sophisticated tea, is insane. I am in love with it. Plus, it has pigs on the wrapper, which makes it extra amazing.
I need all of that tea.
They're insane. And everyone knows that coffee is my jam. One of the ways that you can get me to drink tea is when you have some sort of a mint tea. And the Northwest mint is absolutely fantastic. It's something that you can make in a large brew and you can put in your fridge so that you can drink it cold during hot months. And it is absolutely marvelous.
Yeah, and also the blackberry fig, which can be enjoyed either hot or iced. I mean, it's the end of the summer. Iced tea is still the thing, but the nights are getting cooler. And so this is a really great one to have around during the transition from summer to autumn. Also, you've got the equinox. It's a great herbal for this coming month and the change in the seasons. And it contains herbs that can be sometimes beneficial for those of us with uteruses.
You really, really need to go check out these teas at thejasminepearl.com. Save 10% with coupon code WITCH2023. That's WITCH2023. And you get free shipping on orders over 35. So get those orders in.
Thank you so much to the Jasmine Pearl Tea Company for being an episode sponsor.
So this is interactive. If anybody has questions that they want to, please raise your hand and we can discuss them. Your voice
We have an
will be on
audience,
the recording.
folks.
So yes.
Yes, that's right. We do have an audience. Does anyone have questions either about witchcraft in general or the podcast or why Courtney wants us to marry the pizza guy? You know, won't stop talking about it, even though we ask her. This is what I'm saying.
We won't announce. We don't want to target.
I'll tell you afterwards.
We'll tell you. We'll tell you later.
Best pizza.
We don't want to get in trouble.
But we don't want to get in trouble. This is true.
We don't want they don't want
right? Until they're giving us sponsor
we don't want
money.
them to be like, we're not really. You guys are weird.
No,
so.
I promised my husband I wouldn't get us banned from the pizza shop.
Which is fair because it's good pizza.
Yes.
So the question is advice for working with Diana. Remy, I feel like you've got this one.
Sure. I mean, Diana has multiple aspects like many deities do, right? So she's a huntress, and that's one of her oldest aspects would be like her huntress aspect. She later in time got associated to the moon. She became the younger part of the trivia, you know, of Persephone and Demeter and Hecate, or Diana, Selene, Hecate, right? So she's part of those trilogies as well. As with any deity, sort of, I think, throwing it out to the universe and, you know, listening for the response. But depending on what you're drawn to, right? Are you lunar aspects? Are you huntress aspects? Are you, what we call her virginal because she never took.
Yes.
Courtney was just talking about that in her workshop, right? Like virginal being non-married, non-committed, not necessarily not sexual, right? So she's got lots of different aspects, but the doing,
Does
I
this
think.
mean I can call myself virginal?
Sure,
honey.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But it's, you know, whatever. Sometimes
Can I
just
wear
like
this dress
creating a
and say
small
that without
space.
some sort of bolt of lightning?
You and
Creating a
1998
small
Britney
space,
Spears.
lighting
Go
a
ahead.
candle for her, right? Uplifting, bringing light to the spirit of Diana, right? A glass of water is another traditional thing. It's an offering, but also it's a conduit for the energy force to come through. So starting with a candle and a glass of water is always my recommended way to start, if that makes sense. And then being open to how she might communicate with you. Signs, you might hear things like Kanani, right, sometimes.
And I would say, like, for me, when I started working with Persephone, it started just kind of, it really helped for me when I did get, in fact, a statue of her to put on my altar. I don't know why, but it really did. I don't know, it almost solidified something, like, because how I kind of started was we would just talk. And I would just talk to her. And I didn't hear things back, right? Like that's not how it worked. But I would just put things out and I would talk to her and I would just kind of like you would talk to a friend like, this is how I'm feeling. This is where I'm at. This is what's going on with me. And just there would be a conversation happening where I would just be telling her things. And then when I got, her statue and she was on my altar, it kind of made more sense. And then it was easier for me. She was more top of mind to give offerings and to light candles in front of. And so then when I started doing my spells, all my spell work is done in front of her statue and things like that. And I felt like that really started to kind of bridge that connection.
Sure.
And so then eventually, 6 months later while I'm doing this spell, and she's like, oh, that's cute. That was the first time I'm like hearing her back to me like, this isn't what we're doing, right? Like I've been here this whole time. We didn't go this far to go where you're going. We're going over here. I've told you we're going over here. You're just not listening.
I feel like I received a message for you who had the question about Diana. Take a walk into the woods, go off the beaten path, and meditate in the woods. The huntress will come to you.
Be safe and let people know where you're going and bring your phone.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, but like take a path, but then go sit in a tree that's off the path or something. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, be safe, obviously.
But you're like, don't get abducted. But
the deer, right?
The deer, the dog is another one that are very common with her. I'm seeing a fox in my mind's eye, and I feel like that's for you. So.
Yeah.
But I also think, they will often tell you what they want. Like oftentimes they will be like, if you
don't have a statue, that candle and that glass of water is a starting point.
And I mean, sometimes it's interesting because like I find that sometimes deities will be like, I want this specific. They'll be very specific about what they want on there. But then also researching things that are associated with them or things that that they traditionally liked or were again associated with them. Adding that can also help
and I would say
the interest.
And I would say don't worry about that in the beginning. Like I said, I worked with Persephone for a really long time before I all of a sudden started hearing her talk to me. So don't kind of get discouraged if you feel like you're the one putting it all out there and you don't feel like you're hearing it back. Don't let that discourage you. And so like even if you don't have an altar or a statue or something like that, like Hillary was saying, you could do a candle, write Diana on a candle or carve it into the candle, right? Or something like that.
Print a picture out.
Yeah, print a picture out from online. Absolutely.
I think that we sometimes forget that like we don't, there are incredibly beautiful things that I want to buy all the time that I want to put out there, but like that sometimes we forget that like it does not have to be complicated.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
It does not have to cost money. It does not have to be complicated.
Yeah.
Water is a common offering for so many deities, for ancestors, for land spirits. It costs nothing.
She got the last of my port, by the way, that I shared with you. There was one more serving, and I'm like, oh, it's so good.
The one I wasn't supposed to have.
Yeah, the one you weren't supposed to have. And I was like, oh, I'm going to put this on ice cream tonight. And I'm looking at it, and all of a sudden I'm like, really?
Nope.
You're going to drink that? And I'm like, fine. So I ended up putting it on. I put it on her altar in a cute little glass.
Well,
and I was like, fine, you can have it.
And also a thing that we don't always recognize is that sometimes, even when we've worked with a deity for a very long time, they might go quiet on us.
Yes.
It's actually really heartbreaking, but affirming as well. Mother Teresa said that like for the first year of her ministry, God talked to her every day. And for then the 49 years of her career after that, she never heard God again. And I get a lot of problems with Mother Teresa. I'm not going to like make her out to be a saint. I don't believe she should have been a saint, but I recognize that must have been a very painful thing to be having all this, to have this vision and this sight and have all these people put pressure on you to be like this living embodiment of God, and you yourself only felt it for a brief moment, and then never felt it again. So if ever you have a space where you're like, I felt like my God or goddess was with me for a while and now they're not, that was Mother Teresa's whole life,
right?
Maybe God was like, ooh, y'all are doing some nasty things. I don't want to be part of this anymore. There's also a possibility, but I also think that there's a really good I think that may just be part of the journey with deity. Sometimes they're quiet.
But that's
Well,
what I
and
was
sometimes they're guiding you to
Sometimes-
something, and then once you've found that something, they've done what they came
Yeah,
to
that's
do.
what I was saying. Some come and go, right?
Yeah.
Some are there for a certain time of your life or a certain specific purpose
Yeah.
or lesson that you need to learn, and they'll be there for that time, and you'll be really connected and really working with them, and then that connection starts to drift apart,
Yep.
right? And you feel called somewhere else
Yep.
all of a sudden. This other deity now is calling you. It sometimes is the path, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's is unique
Exactly.
and different.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Diana specifically, there are whole traditions, Dianic
Yeah.
traditions formulated around her, which is another way to look into. I don't know if you would resonate with those traditions or not, because you know.
But worth checking out.
But
for
worth
sure,
checking
you
out.
know?
Yeah.
I think whenever you're exploring something new, like be a sponge, like learn everything that
Yeah.
you can, like read, go meet with people, go watch videos, whatever information you can get. And you don't have to take all of that information with you, but you'll find pieces where you're like, this actually really resonates
Yeah.
with me.
Right.
You know, and then you can, you know, I that's kind of when people ask, I mean, we get asked a lot, like, how do I start? Whether it's the journey into witchcraft at all, or like with this particular deity or with a particular practice, and really, it's just like learn, try it out,
Yeah.
figure out, and as you go, you'll get more and more information either from that deity, from your own spirit guides, from your own intuition, whatever it is. You'll start to be able to feel when something feels right or not right.
But I
You
think
know?
also the key is the doing. At some
Yes.
point, right?
Yes.
You can read a million books.
Right, but
Yes.
you have to.
But if you have to sit down,
Yeah.
light a candle
If you're
or whatever.
inspired, you need to then do.
Yes.
You can't be like,
Yeah.
oh, I really
There's no
like
wrong
this,
way.
and then
There's
walk off. Yeah.
there's no, you know, am I going to mess it up? They're going to be mad at me. Like,
Right.
they'll let you know, but like the fact you're doing, I think, is the key, and that they're less likely to
Yeah.
be upset at you. You know, we can fine tune as we move down the line,
Yeah.
but like, just do it.
But yeah, once you feel that once you find something that you're like really drawn towards, like that's when you're like, here it is. And it's very easy to get stagnant. We all get busy. Our lives are crazy. But like carve out time, and it doesn't have to be a ton of time. It's not like you have to like spend all day every day or hours of every day doing these things. But if you can carve out like a habitual practice as part of your practice, whatever that pathway it is that you've been drawn towards, actively doing that regularly. I mean, you know, this was like one of the reasons I've, you know, step by step going through my house is because I've been traveling so much this year that I've gotten a little bit off of my practice because I've just been like different cities, different
as
times,
life happens.
right?
Yeah.
And recently I was like, oh, I feel really disconnected. Like I just don't feel as connected to my practice. And so, you know, you can it's this, you know, it's the same approach that I have when I start something. It's like, okay, well, I just got to start again, you know?
Yeah.
Don't get discouraged if you get off track or if you feel like you're not connecting with a deity or with a particular thing. Just reset and keep going, you know? There's no guidebook for what this is exactly going to look like. You can read every book on the planet and it's still not going to tell you exactly what your experience
Well, I
is
think
gonna
what
be.
Remy said was really good, which is, I think one of the things that I know I've certainly been guilty of most of my life, which I've worked really hard to try and disengage from. But one of the problems that a lot of us have is when we're doing things or when we want things, we have a set expectation in our mind of how this is going to work and how it's going to happen. And so then when it doesn't, then you're upset. You're disappointed and it ends up not working out.
And you've changed the vibration.
Right, and you've changed the vibration. Or you had this idea of, you know, what this friendship was going to be, or this relationship was going to be, or this job was going to be. And so then when it doesn't live up to your expectations, it's crap. When in reality, maybe it was great. But you'd set the bar at this, like, ridiculous perception of how this was going to be that now it can't ever live up to that. Even
Instead
if
of
what
enjoying
it is
what
great.
it was,
Exactly. So it's like, I think that's really, you know, indicative of when you practice your magic or you do spells or you work with deities or even like trying to join a coven, right? You really need to go in kind of without expectation. You can have boundaries, which are super healthy and good to
Yes.
have. And you can have ideas of like, you can walk in being like, this is what I would like. But you don't want to have set expectations.
Right.
Because as we've said 100 times, nothing ever works out exactly as you come to plan. And sometimes it's because it wasn't supposed to.
Right.
Like your plan was crap. You thought it was great. It actually wasn't great. The universe knew better. It's trying to give you better. But now you're disappointed because it's not what you had preconceived. So anytime you're trying something new, I think it's always good to really try and go into it very open-minded and not have those preconceived notions, which can really hold you back from experiencing something really great.
Absolutely.
Are there any questions? Yeah.
Actually, I was writing down when you're talking about virginity in terms of goddesses, and their own choice not to marry, how does Hestia fit into that? Do you have any thoughts or?
So the question is, as we mentioned about virginity and the concept of deities, and so then Hestia specifically.
She was one of the first things I learned was she was the virgin goddess.
Right. But it was a very conscious choice that Hestia made. She said, "I will give up my seat." Right. She gave up her throne on Olympus and to tend the fire, to tend the hearth, right? So that is her job, that is her business, that is what she does, and so she takes care of everyone, and so she dedicated to no one.
That doesn't sound virginal.
No.
When you take care of everyone.
No, but she didn't dedicate to anyone.
Right, no, absolutely.
Okay,
Right?
you know who she
And
reminds
all
me of?
sacrifice, all food, every sacrifice, she receives the first portion.
Yeah.
Right? You always throw the first portion back into the fire and give it to Hestia, because without her flame, we would have nothing.
We would have nothing, yeah.
You know who her incarnation in this world might be? Stevie Nicks. Because Stevie Nicks has said that she deliberately did not, I don't know if she's married now or not, but there was a period of time when she did not want to get married and she did not want to have children because she wanted to dedicate wholly to her art. And now she says that she takes care of the mothers. She takes care of the people who take care of others. Because instead of having her own children, she's like, this is what I do, is I provide art that supports the people that care for others. So it's like I think Hestia, yes, there's hearth and home, but I feel like Remy's picking up on a context, I think, that gets erased a lot, which is that dedicating yourself wholly to your mission,
Yes.
and giving your life to your mission, which in this case is about supporting others.
Yeah.
Instead of, limiting who you support in that
Right.
way.
Well, like Athena did it as well, right?
Right.
She gave up sexuality, she became virginal to stay part of the boys' club. Let's be honest, right? Because she wanted to stay in the mind and stay strategic and to stay right. And so she was virginal in the sense that that was so that she could stay part of the boys' club.
Yeah.
Right. Like they almost could only see her eye to eye because
of that.
Yeah.
She spent
was
her
butch.
time on the
Whatever.
on the golf course, smoking cigars.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely, right. But the idea of that comes up a lot, and it being like a conscious choice. They weren't not selected. No, they chose not to allow you to be right. Like it was a conscious thought on their part.
Good question.
That's a good question. We've had some good questions.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions?
just got a couple of minutes left before our next presenter arrives.
Do any of you have experience with Aphrodite?
Oh, yeah.
So we were asked, does anyone have experience with Aphrodite?
I mean, yeah. I don't work with her directly, like as an entity, but I believe she flows through so much and everywhere, right? That we kind of
Everywhere.
all have felt Aphrodite in some
can't
aspect.
exist in the world and not be affected by Aphrodite's
Right.
energy.
She's also primordial,
Yes.
Yeah, and I think there's Aphrodite is one that's often just it's a goddess of love and goddess of sex and stuff like that, which
You don't really get to see the depth.
there, and it's like there's also a lot of
Like the depth of the ocean she was born out of.
and
Yes.
also that she wasn't only a she.
Right.
Right.
She
Yes.
was intersex. And,
Yes.
So there's multiple gender there, but also like some of her myths in which she started the Trojan War, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
And because there's a sense of jealousy. She also married someone she wasn't necessarily attracted to, but who could provide her with everything she needed. So in some ways, she's like the people that have that might have married as a way of business maneuvers.
Very savvy.
Very savvy. And so there's a lot of pieces of her that are, the different kinds of ways love can be utilize, and they're not all happy and joyful. She is not somebody I would call on for love magic. No. Maybe she
Actually, yeah, I wouldn't either.
No.
To
Yeah,
be
I
honest.
mean, I was thinking about that too. I was like, no, I wouldn't. No.
Yeah.
No, not personally.
Maybe if you want people to be drawn to you for ulterior motives, like you want people to be drawn to you because they want to do business with you, or you are just, that kind of thing. But it's like, I would be, don't call on Aphrodite because you want to bring in a partner, because you're going to have the most chaotic love life.
The most chaotic.
I'm
yes.
reading this book, and in the book, there's a goddess of love, but the goddess of love in this book includes loss,
Yes.
because mourning and
Right.
loss is a form of love.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we don't think about that. So,
It's like such an intense form of love.
yeah, it's an intense.
Yes, you mourn because of love.
Because that love doesn't
Yes.
the person or pet or whatever even
Whatever.
the loss of a relationship, a
Yes.
job, whatever you're mourning.
You could be even mourning the future you thought you were going to
Yes.
have for
Right.
yourself,
Yeah,
and things
exactly.
change. Like, there's a lot of ways
Whatever
we can
the
mourn.
mourn, but it's all the love you had or the time and energy and love you put into
the
that
thought, the hope, the
that
expectation.
thought, person, hope,
Yeah.
expectation, whatever. That doesn't go away because it goes away.
Right,
You
but I
know?
thought that was a beautiful piece for them to write into this story, and I was
Yes,
like,
I like that.
I didn't even thought of it that way,
But
but
it's
that's
so
absolutely true.
It's such a form of love.
I did see another hand.
Yeah, you had a question.
Working with what?
Native American spirits.
Native American.
Oh, you'd like to work with Native American spirits, but because you're not Native American, you don't know. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's important to be careful
And
because
conscious.
because a lot of these practices are closed practices to that particular
Culture or tradition,
or
yeah.
cultural tradition or religious tradition, depending on what culture or practice. So I think it's, for practices that are rooted in a specific culture, I think it's really important that we don't just wander in like it's ours. I don't think that doesn't mean that, I don't think that means that you can't take inspiration from or honor, but I think you need to be really cautious with, with going into a culture that's not yours or having being part of a practice of a culture that's not yours. I think that some practices that are closed are very open to people coming and learning from them, but that would be something that they
Determined.
Well,
determine.
and I think there's a big difference between honoring a spirit and saying, I see you, I recognize you, and I give you reverence, and say asking them for things or
Right.
calling yourself a practitioner.
Right.
My sense is, and this is something I've heard from a lot of different indigenous kind of practitioners or practitioners from diaspora, it's like when you honor and you honor with integrity, they will show you a path to honor and to go. If there's room to go further, they will open the doors for you to come in the right way. So I would say if you're feeling that call, I honor the land spirits of my
Right,
place, and just say, and then say I recognize that you are here, and I give you honor and respect, and that's all.
Yeah,
and then the doors. But it's like, instead of saying this is my religion,
Right.
and I call myself a member of this religion, it's a very different thing.
And
Right.
I agree with that because if you're in many places but if we're talking about specifically like indigenous in America, like every piece of land that we're on is indigenous, right? So it's like it's an opportunity for us to honor, right?
To
So if you
honor
wanna
land
honor
spirits is honoring
and thank
Native American.
and find ways to give back to the community whose land was stolen, right? But we don't want to just like barge in and
claiming it as
have
a
it as
yeah.
ours because it's not.
Honoring it because you recognize it exists, and claiming it as yours are two very different things.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Right. And also, I'm just going to say that, like, if a God calls to you, a God calls to you, and, like,
Yes.
I don't know who can say what. Like, that's between you and that deity.
Yeah.
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 We have someone from the audience with
You
us.
had your hand up.
I was going to speak about wanting to follow the indigenous path, and you have to realize that historically, a lot of that path has been erased.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a bloody past.
Yeah.
It is.
And so to say that you want to do that One needs to be very mindful and very respectful.
Yeah.
Be very mindful and respectful.
If at all possible, connect with an elder of whichever clan you want to affiliate yourself with, and just be mindful.
Yeah.
Be observant, be silent, be in the back.
Yeah.
Be mindful, observant, silent, and in the background.
That's
great advice.
Yeah.
Learn. Yeah, be there to learn with humility and humbleness,
Yeah.
right?
Thank you for
And also
Well, thank you guys.
acceptance if there's pushback.
Yeah.
Acceptance that if to know where those barriers and boundaries are.
Well, thank you guys for joining us for an episode of That Witch Life podcast at Columbia Willamette Pagan Pride Day.
Whoop, whoop.
It is always so fun when we get to record in front of other people and do it in front of an audience. So this was awesome. And
Thanks for yanking me in at the last minute.
Yay, my Remy. And so I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to That Witch Life podcast. Our music is by Dustin Schultz, editing by Corey Drake. If you like what we do, please subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the show, you can buy us a coffee or check out our merch on our Etsy store or join us on Patreon for bonus content, ad-free episodes, or to join our Witch Squad. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For show notes, audio transcript, or to ask us a question to answer on a future episode, go to thatwitchlife.com. Until then, keep moding that shit. We will talk to you next week.
So mote it be.